welcome to the official Lakes International Comic Art Festival podcast. Manage you.
What is this? Give it a good shake. Get this back in. There we go.
With your hosts,
David Robertson,
Fernando Pons,
Mike Sedakat,
and Tom Stewart.
Hello and welcome to Small Pressed, the comic reviews section of the Lakes International Comic Art Festival podcast with myself, Tom, and some very, very special guests. Considering this is a bootleg episode, I brought in some guest voices. We have the mighty Mike Sedakat.
Hello.
We have the absolutely ultimate Fernando Pons.
Hi there.
And the man with a plan, David Robertson.
Hello.
Hey, I've got my TCS crew here. I thought, considering Ian and Nikki had left the reins to Pete, Mike and myself, Pete and Mike put out an episode last time, 2 weeks ago. I thought I'd chime in and get the lads in here to do some reviews. I mean, we get sent stuff across at That Comic Smell all the time. We sometimes don't get a chance to speak about it, so let's collect a bunch of stuff up, sit and chat about it, small press, big press, everything you've got, anything. We are going to chat comics, and we are just going to get right into it. And this is basically going to be like a That Comic Smell episode, so if you don't listen to us, we'll give you all the details at the end, and you can nip across and give us a follow and a like and everything. But without further ado, we are going to crack on. Nando?
So, reviews.
Ah, dear, oh dear, oh dear. I've got do you know what? Out of my lot that I've got tonight, I've actually got a rather big one to speak about. I got given by...
What a show-off.
I know. I got given by Tony Esmond when he was up visiting us. I think Dave will know what one I'm on about.
Okay.
Yes.
Possibly. I don't know if you might have read it, actually, Nando, when I think about it. But before we get into that, how you all doing? All good?
Very good. Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I still function.
Oh dear. That's no. I still function is never a good intro.
I'm not convinced, Mike.
I know. I'm still functioning.
Are you sure about that, Mike?
That's not compute.
Oh, that's more like him, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, we're half of us are back to work and half of us aren't we? At the minute.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So it's a
I'm
bit...
working part-time at the moment.
Part-time?
Yeah.
Jeez.
3 days a week so far.
Oh, well.
But really busy. The days I'm working is really busy days.
I can imagine. There'll be everybody flowing in from the past, how many months we'll be stuck inside?
Well, 4 months lockdown. So it's nearly 5 months backlog we have.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a lot of work. So yeah, the days go really fast. That's the main thing. But yeah, you've been working during lockdown, Tom, have you?
Yeah, just kept going. Just kept going. The business is picking up now. There's everybody's going away on holidays, so yeah, it's all getting back on track. Those dogs and cats and everything else ain't going to look after themselves. And if they did, it'd be a pretty big miracle, I'll tell you that. Dave, I saw you had an interview today that went up.
Well, yeah, that's right. Zine Love. It was, yeah.
Who is it that runs that?
Now, I don't know if I'm even pronouncing his name properly there, sorry. Ieston with a P. Pettigrew.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, Ieston Pettigrew. I keep saying Ieston, so if it's wrong, I'm really going to regret that. Ieston, I think is how you say it. Ieston. Sorry, Ieston.
You've definitely said it enough now. I was giving it a read before we came on, and yeah, it was really good. It was good to see you sort of giving your usual kind of almost words of encouragement in a way. With you've got a good line in there about well, the gist of it is basically that you realised that you weren't going to be as good, or well, you said that you weren't going to be as good as Al Williamson, and once you got to that, it almost like opened up everything to you.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it took a long time, but once I thought I'm never going to be as good, and then even if I did become as good, well, what's the point of that? I would be somebody that draws like Al Williamson then.
Yeah.
So I just had to forget that and just draw and see what it looked like and live with that and try and improve on that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
it's a good philosophy to have though, and it was good to see that that's kind of out there now and encourages people to, like, if somebody sees that, they'd be more encouraged to kind of be like, yeah.
I hope so. I mean, it works for some people, doesn't it? I mean, look at like the Mike. Who's the Cadillacs and Dinosaurs guy again? Schultz, is it?
Yeah. Hang on. He's got his book over here.
Yeah, maybe any of you would remember that. But he's very Al Williamson,
Yeah.
Worked for him.
Yeah.
But I just thought I'm not going to do that,
It's. Yeah.
I mean, even Al Williamson himself was very
It's
like
Mark
Alex
Schultz.
Raymond. Mark Schultz, yeah. Yeah, so I just thought I'm going to go some other way.
Nice.
Yeah. It was a good interview. It was good to do that. It's always nice to have a think about these things.
Was that just an email one?
Yeah.
Right. Nice.
Yeah, it was.
It's good. So that was Zine Love.
Zine Love, check it out.
Nice. Mike, you've just had a comic come out recently, haven't you?
Yeah. It's not available at the moment, but it's all hopefully when things get a wee bit more normal, we'll be able to start selling some of them.
Nice.
But it's my first solo comic.
Nice.
And it's called The Real Prehistoric Beasts, and it's 6 chapters of famous prehistoric animals and what could be a day in their lives. And at the end of every single chapter, there's a page of interpretation, giving you a wee bit of facts as to how we think the animals may have lived. And their history as well, from when they were discovered.
Nice one. Well, we'll get into that sort of as we're getting near the end, because we'll go through, because it was announced on Tony's Never Iron Anything podcast with Dave when he was on it, but we have a nice little comic that's coming soon from all of us. So we'll get into that once we've got through all the reviews, and we'll have a wee chat about that afterwards as well. And we've got all the space to play with now. I feel naughty. We're doing all this on somebody else's space. This is great.
Yeah, let's trash the place afterwards. Hang on, I'm home.
This is
bum.
No. This is
Big bum.
This is Ian and Nikki coming in after we've been on and cleaning up all the booze and the smashed tellies and everything. Oh, I need to get this out of here. God, what a mess. What a mess of it.
Traffic cone.
Traffic cone up on a statue's head. No, we're more respectable than that.
I would.
So yeah, who wants to go first? What have you been reading? What have you been reading, folks?
Well, first of all, during lockdown, I read quite a lot of comics. and I had plenty time to do that, so that was good. But there were a few comics that you lent me, Tom, and they have actually been sent to us. And also, there's a couple of comics I read recently.
Just as a backup there a wee minute, you did read a lot over lockdown. You also did a Nando's comic of the day for how many days?
120? Yeah, 120.
Where you basically gave us 4 or 5 images of a comic book that you'd been reading, or that you were recommending. So you had usually the cover, sort of inside pictures, and then it was almost like a synopsis and then a review in a way. It was sort of a review wrapped in a synopsis of like the creative team and the history and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But for 100 odd days to be able to smash that out, I mean, that's some feat. You know what I mean? Like writing something that long and that thought out and like that sort of method of going through everything as well and jotting it all down for that many days. That took a lot of effort. Did you ever think of giving up before 120?
No. Look, I started. It wasn't planned. It was the Saturday morning, if I remember correctly, and I was reading Kamandi by Jack Kirby, and everyone was feeling down and in the dumps because of the lockdown, and people was off work, etc., and I saw that and I thought, well, yeah, this is about a post-apocalyptic sort of dystopian future, but there was a letter as well published, a text by Jack Kirby, and I thought, yeah, I need to put this in the email. So I just started that Saturday morning, and I just sent you that email, you guys. And then the next day I said, well, I'll do another one. The next day was Mother's Day, if I remember correctly.
Uh-huh.
And then every day I just send you one. I just choose one from the bookshelf, and I try to keep it very, try to make a mix of things. Not to do too many Marvel, not too many DC, do some independent, do some European, and yeah, I kept going, and then 120, I thought, yeah, that's I've spoken about a few comics I wanted to say, and then I think that's a fine number to stop.
Yeah. You sent them primarily to us through the email, but I sort of copy and pasted them and put them up on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. I put them up on Instagram later, so I was doing them as like a backdated, so it was like a week or so, and then I just slowly but surely caught it up to the point of when you stopped. I think there was only about a week that I was caught up, and then you stopped, which was great. It worked in really well, but you got a lot of response, and you got a lot of response from pretty big names as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was quite surprised to hear people like Karl Bosiek, Mark Miller, just to name 2 names, just like that. They say, oh, I'm glad you liked it, and they were, happy that we're talking about the comics. That was not my intention in any way. I'm not in social media, so to me that means, but it was big for me that they, actually reply to us and to my little review of what I like the comic and what I thought about it. So that was big for me.
Yeah. It was really good. We had a lot of response from the creators. We had like the artist behind Axe Cop as well. Like that was very early on. He kind of sent it on and stuff and said, "Oh, this is great." We had the official Will Eisner's The Spirit account actually getting back, like the actual designated one as well.
So some publishers from Fantagraphics to I think I had David Aja as well. Yep. I mean, it was really good. I mean, that they answered and replied to us. So yeah, that was great.
It seems like just such a little gesture, but it means a lot when you're typing something up like that. I mean, it's the same kind of response as making a book and then somebody speaking about it, much like we're a way to do, to creating something and then hearing feedback on it, even just the littlest thing of like, really enjoyed this. It really means a lot. I think that's also why when we get stuff through or we find something that we really, really enjoy, we come together and kind of chat about it. You know what I mean? Speaking of which, what have you got first?
Well, I'm going to start with The Black Iris.
Ooh, nice.
By Russel Mark Olson, which is a landscape comic. It's a speechless, so there's no speech bubbles on it. It's all inked, and it's one-page illustrations. And it's a Second World War spy story. Really nice, actually. Or something that... The story itself is very short, but the art is lovely. It's really, really nice. And the narration on it is fantastic, considering it's just one-page illustration, per page. That's it. So, I really enjoy the inks, and I enjoy how everything has been put in all the action, because there's actually quite a lot of action. There's a few things going on. So yeah, I enjoy that very, very much. I would say, and that's just my little but, I don't like the cover so much.
Oh, really?
Oh. But if you go into page 2, or just, I prefer that illustration. I prefer that. Let's see if I can...
Okay, yeah, the Lauren Bacall eyes kind of thing.
Yeah. I prefer that than the actual one that he's chosen for the cover. Personally, that's just my opinion, but I mean, the whole book is fantastic. That would be my own part. I prefer more that illustration, which is the author,
Russel Mark Olson.
He said that was the origin of the story kind of thing. So I prefer more that illustration there. I thought that cover is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really nice job.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a nice surprise because I didn't know him, and I really enjoyed that very much.
Russell's an excellent artist, like an absolutely beautiful artist. That was his Inktober, so that was his images that he was doing, one a day through October. I think he kind of stopped and then he picked it back up again, sort of near the end of October, and just blasted through and made that.
He explains that in the book. There, he has a little text and explains about it, but there's the sketches as well at the back, how he plans. So yeah, it's a really nice book, that one.
Yeah, it's a nice size as well. So it's like you actually get the art on full display the way it is. It's not like a wee toty book to kind of sit looking at, like squinting eyes at this beautiful detail. It has actually got it as a proper. It kind of reminded me of like a sketchbook kind of size.
Yeah, that's right. And it's just the landscape that just works visually really well with the story. So it's it could seem, it's just a gimmick. No, actually, it gives you the feeling of a movie, of that sort of idea. And obviously, if it was based, or the character is based in Lauren Bacall, then more reason for it to use that sort of technique. So I think it works really well. I really enjoy that.
He's got a new one that's coming out quite soon that he sent a preview through. I think it's in our review folder, and it's called Ditch Angels, and it's like one-page pictures. It doesn't follow as much of a narrative.
Tom, that's one of the ones I'm going to talk about in a few minutes.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, I'm just saying, just as a follow-up, this... it's much of the same kind of style, but it's one that you should, if you enjoyed Black Iris, you should check out Ditch Angels. But if Mike's going to talk about it, he'll get into it. But it's it's a lovely kind of thing. But yeah, Russell's a great artist. He also has a comic series that's sort of a noir type story called Gateway City. That can be found. I think it's on like the Comic House app and stuff, but you can also find it online and stuff as well, through store and stuff. But yeah, just a really interesting, intriguing artist and storyteller. I think he kind of sticks more traditional, I think, but with doing that, the Black Iris, it kind of breaks form a wee bit just with those single, beautiful, painted pages with no words as well, is there? There's no words at any point.
No words.
And yet,
But the narrative is really good.
Yeah.
And you still get a continuous narrative, is a very good storytelling, even if it's just one page. It's really, really good. I was very impressed with that.
Nice one. Cool.
Next one that I've read recently, and again, very kindly, you lent me that, Tom. The King by John Tucker.
Hey.
So yeah, that's about 48 pages of comic and covers. A wee bit of a surreal story there going on, and but there is something quite, I don't know, it's whimsically entertaining. That's what I wrote down in my notes.
Okay.
I enjoy that. There is something quirky going on. I don't want to spoil it, so I'm just gonna that's it. You're not gonna leave it like that. Lovely illustrations, one-page illustrations with text, and the color is a monochrome orange. So yeah, it's lovely little book.
Yeah.
And there's a twist. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Hopefully John will be happy with that.
I think that's most...
Nando, what happens at the end?
It says, at the end it says, no, I can't tell you. Sorry.
I think
No.
I think that describes most of John's kind of comics. The thing with the King that I got was that it was rather like he has it in a lot of his other stories as well. There's bits throughout that are rather heartwarming, but I thought the King overall was quite heartwarming, even with it being quite surreal. There was still a sort of very heartwarming element throughout it.
Yeah, and that's what makes it entertaining as well. And there's, the surprise element as you're reading along. Okay, fine, and then you go, oh, that moment, and then you go, okay, but you keep going, and it's I don't know, the art is really good. Again, the story, it's a little bit surreal, but very entertaining. So yeah,
nice,
lovely story.
Good. Glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, I did actually. Yeah. Again, I don't want to spoil it, so you need to read it.
Have you?
The King.
Have you read? John? Have you read much of John Tucker's stuff?
I don't think I have. Perhaps read something in the past a while ago, though. I'm just trying to remember. I was way through the review cube, but that's probably the one that I've read. That's the last one I read from John.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's you may end up finding some other works coming towards you.
Excellent. Right. The next one is the wonderful Alan Henderson, The Penguin Vision is the one that I have here. And fantastic by Alan Henderson.
Now you've got quite a lot of these ones hard copy as opposed to digital.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes, because when we went to Edinburgh to see his what was the one I'm looking for?
Exhibition,
and he has his new book coming out, and some of the omnibus. I bought one of the omnibus, so yeah, he very kindly invited us to go across, so we did. So yeah, what can I say about Alan Henderson? I mean, they're just one-liners or 3 panels. There's always a joke there, It just brings you happiness and joy, to be honest. You're feeling that in the dumps. You just need to read a couple of the pages, and that's you. I think that's probably the best way to define it. and there's many jokes that I love there. My kids love it as well. They read it and they absolutely love it. And my wife doesn't read comics, and she's very happy reading the Penguin. She
Nice.
loves that. That's the thing. It's because just being a joke, 3 panels, very straightforward. That's a pun. That's it. And it's for everyone. It's just great.
Yeah, Alan's sort of gives away. Well, he sells some of his originals quite cheap at conventions, and one of Alan's originals is actually on our shelf in the living room downstairs. My other half was not offended by the comic, and she really liked it, so we stuck it up. Yeah, you're right. It does kind of. I think with the kind of strips that he does, the sort of one-liner jokes, it does have a more mass appeal to it. Definitely, it's good. It's really good stuff. Yeah, he does a lot of these collections, and there may be a newer collection that's coming up, mentioned in the show later. But yeah, there's quite a number of them now, and big sort of Sunday strip ones and stuff as well, like you said, like big omnibus things. They're well worth picking up. They're really good. Yeah.
Oh, and it's obviously we have to mention that Alan is still doing it online as well, because I mean that's how he started publishing online.
Yep.
Just the strips, kind of thing. So yeah, that's great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Next one. The next one I have here is a book published by Nobrow, and it's Gamayun Tales, Volume 1, by Alexander Utkin. This is actually an omnibus because it compiles 3 books of the series.
Yeah.
3 books of the series. And essentially we are, in these books, we are reading about sort of legends and mythology, Slavic tradition, legends and mythology. It's a lovely book. I love the art. It's so colorful. What you see in the cover is what you find inside as well. So it's just, there's so much color, and personally I've always been a fan of mythology and legends. And perhaps that's why I'm a fan of superhero comics as well, in a way. But yeah, this is a very entertaining, all ages, educational as well, stories and books, and yeah, it's well worth to pick up. It's particularly this omnibus is a really good price. You get one of these chunky ones. So that's a lovely book. So Gamayun Tales, Volume 1 by Alexander Utkin. Or you can find the individual books as well. They all have been published by Nobrow. They've done it in hardback, I believe, the individual books. So yeah.
They're
Well, the stories, although you can read them individually, they are actually linked. So you can read the stories individually, separated, but with the omnibus, when you have them all together, there is a link on the story going through. So that's I like that.
They're really beautifully rendered as well.
Just they are fantastic.
I would.
Fantastic.
I am curious though as to whether they're done digitally or traditionally though.
No idea.
No, I couldn't. I just couldn't put my finger on it at all.
I like them very much. I know that because you look at it and there's no, I don't know. It's like it's just the color. In certain pages, it's like it's been just drawn, like it's just done with the colors rather than using ink. So yeah, very entertaining, very good actually, very entertaining book.
Yeah,
I love that one.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's really, really nice, and all ages, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just check with the publisher as well. It's comic, fantasy, and I've read it, and So yeah, I enjoy it very much.
Nice.
Okay, again, with mythology and legends, there's always moments that there's a little more of violence or monsters. You're gonna get that. You get that in fairy tales as well. So, you know.
Is it? Do you think you would give it to your kids if they were interested?
Yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Good. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some monsters and stuff in it, but they're not. I don't think they're too. It's not like they're too terrifying or anything.
No. As I said before, you need to take in consideration that in fairy tales, in legends, mythology, you always find, there'll be monsters or witches or wizards or any evil beings. It's part of the story, and at the end of the day, it's just part of life as well. So yeah,
Nice.
but yeah, very, 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 very good.
Good.
Okay, next one. This is something that came out really recently, actually, and it's by Image Comics.
Oh.
But Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips.
Pulp.
And this is a lovely graphic novel. It came out just a few weeks ago. It's in hardback. It's a lovely edition. It's slightly, just a fraction. It's kind of hardback. It's just a fraction taller than the comic book. But yeah, hardback, and it's just one story. That's it. It's about 60 odd pages. What can I say about the art by Phillips? I mean, it's just his art. It's a wee bit of a western. It's a wee bit of kind of cancer. There's many things. There's many elements there. I don't want to spoil it, but it's a really, really, really good story.
Nice.
I really enjoy that very, very much. I'll read the blurb at the back just to give you a taste of what to expect from the book. And it says, Max Winter used to have a different name and a different life a long time ago. Now, in 1930s New York, Max survives by writing thinly disguised tales of the man he used to be for the pulp magazines, tales of the forgotten frontier and a Wild West outlaw dispensing justice with a sex gun. It's gonna leave it there.
Oh.
So yeah, there is a little bit of a western in it, and I'm a fan of western comics, so there is a little bit of it there. But it's not a western comic, okay?
No, it's somebody writing about it effectively, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
He writes western pulp novels based on his youth.
Right. Okay.
When he's a cowboy.
Yeah. It's
So there is a lot of different things going on there.
It's very Ed Brubaker.
Yeah, it's very good, and the art is really good as well by Sean Phillips. I mean, it's just fantastic. So I recommend that.
I think if I'm right in saying, I think it's Sean. I want to say it's Sean Phillips' son is either the colorist or the letterer on that as well. So it is just the three of them.
That doing the color.
That's it.
Jacob.
Yes.
Jacob Phillips.
So basically, they've got their own wee kind of in-house team going there. Basically, the three of them together.
Well, I loved that graphic novel. I thought it was really good. I read it all in one go. I sat down, and it was just I received that through the post just last week. I sat down in the afternoon, and I just loved it.
How much did that set you back?
Well, in certain big, massive worldwide website, I'm just gonna leave it like that. It was about £10.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. The retail price, I think, is around the 15, but there's certain sellers online that you could get it cheaper.
Nice.
But also, your comic book stores, they may have it there. So give it a go. It's well worth the money.
Cool.
It's a good one. And last but not least, which I got recently as well, and I read that actually on Tuesday.
Hey!
Firepower by Robert Kirkman, Chris Samney, again by Image Comics. This is great fun. I'm
gonna join in with you on this one, mate. This was the big one that I was going to speak about.
Really, really good. I loved it.
Nice.
I loved it. So I got in my hands. That's the volume 1 prelude, which is one trade paperback. Again, it's really good. You get a big whack of pages here. And well, it's a story about. It's kind of, I don't know if you remember the TV series Kung Fu, people from my generation with David Carradine.
Mm-hmm.
There is a bit of that. There is a little bit of martial arts, a master, apprentice, different clans. It's kind of a wee bit of Iron Fist as well from Marvel. There is all these little elements. A little bit of Karate Kid. I loved it. I really enjoy it.
Even with a Karate Kid reference in there as well.
Well, even with a Karate Kid reference in it. But when I saw that I was coming out, and I thought, well, it's Robert Kim and it's Chris and I said, I love what they do, and I need to get this. Mm-hmm. And a few weeks ago, I went to Glasgow with one of my friends, and we went to Forbidden Planet. So I go actually the free comic book day. There were a few issues of it, and nice. I also have the following, because that picks up after the trade, the paperback.
Ah.
Yeah. So that was Firepower by Robert Kirkman and Chris Samney. Really good fun.
No.
Really good. I really love that one.
No. I really enjoyed it, right? I did. I really enjoyed it. I mainly Tony gifted this to. Well, he put it on the table and said to me and Dave, fight between each other. You can pick one. So I picked this first. We're just going to do switches later on. I mainly picked this for Chris Samney because I enjoy Chris Samney's art on Daredevil and whatnot. It's just beautiful pieces. I'm not a massive fan of Robert Kirkman. I do enjoy his writing, don't get me wrong. I like what he does. And I've read countless issues of Walking Dead and whatnot. Battle Pope, all this kind of stuff. But there was a certain element of this I just didn't. There was bits that I just didn't think were well written. There was bits that kind of fell flat. I mean, on a whole, I loved it. I want to continue with it. I really enjoyed it. But the bits that I would pick apart was some of the dialogue was clunky. Some of it was very cliche to the point it was just like, oh, come on, mate. You know what I mean? Some of the references that the Master comes away with were just like, what? Why is that in there? Is it just to appeal to the kids or what? But it was in spirit of the character, so it was fine. It still worked and it still kept the pace going, which was fine. My main thing with it was that I was a bit underwhelmed that this was an Image series from Robert Kirkman and Chris Samney. If somebody had told me that this was from a small presser, I would have been in awe, but I would have believed it more. The fact that this was a big series book from Image by well-known names, I was a bit kind of like, I feel like they could have done better. I love it. It's great. But I feel like they could have done better. I feel like they could have done bigger, and I should have been more blown away by it. Just personally, I feel like I should have been blown away by it more. Some of the splash pages and stuff that were in it as well were just underwhelming, completely and now here's a massive page of a big. what's the word I'm looking for? Like an airship. There's like a big massive airship thing. There's also bits where there's big explosions going off, and I don't know. They just didn't hold any weight or spectacle to them to warrant having as a splash page. It just felt like a massive, like a one panel that felt blown up. There were single panels throughout it that I would have probably rather seen as a splash page. I think it was poorly picked in that sense.
I don't know. I only have one nitpick on the whole book, and it's at the beginning when the character sets a fire when he's camping, and he's camping in the top of the highest mountains. There's no bushes, there's no trees. So where the heck is getting the wood from to make the fire?
Yeah, he's got like a massive fire as well.
When I was reading, I thought, yeah, but where is he getting the wood from? That was the only thing. The rest I enjoy very much. I have no problems with the art or the story itself, because we have to remember, this is the prelude. This is just an introduction. This is not the big book. This is not the big finale. So I trust on Kierman and Sam Nee that they are going to deliver, and they're going to build this up.
It is just a prelude, you're right, and I do get that, but also issue 1 is meant to be something that pulls you in. Volume 1 is meant to be the thing that pulls you in and really gets you going. And although it did, what was that?
Certainly it pulled me in, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I will keep reading, yeah, it pulled me in, that's fine. But like I say, if it didn't have the names on it, I would have guessed that this was somebody's work in the small press. I would have been like, wow, like they've really pulled me in. Like, this is really good. Like, I hope it doesn't take too long for the next one. But if somebody then like that turned around and said, this is Robert Kirkman and Chris Samney, I'd be like,
So you will even more.
Yeah, out of those names, yeah, definitely. I would expect something more. Don't get me wrong, if it builds to something huge, great, fantastic. Like, if it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and even better, then fine. And like that, it is just a volume 1. But it's a lot of pages, and they really could have done a lot in amongst it, but it's just kind of missing stuff. But it is great fun, you are right. And like I say, overall, I did actually really, really enjoy it. More so than I thought I was going to enjoy it. I thought it was great. That's just me nitpicking. That is me literally just nitpicking at it. And it's kind of small. These are just small niggles. Really. I'm highlighting them, but they're small niggles. They're very small niggles.
So, I am right. You are wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyway, I look forward to read more Firepower, and I look forward to discuss it with you, Tom.
Cool. Yeah, same, buddy, same. Very much so. I knew you would have read it. I was sitting reading it. I was saying it. I'm like, you may have already read it, Nando. I'm like, yeah, of course he has. Of course he has.
And that's me. That's the ones I've read recently and reviewing today.
Cool. Who's wanting to next step up to the plate?
Oh well, I'll go ahead then.
Nice.
The first one is I finally got to get up on my read my classics list, and I finished reading V for Vendetta.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I saw the film a few years back, and thought it was okay. Thought I'd read the book. The book is really good. I enjoyed it. There is one flaw that I don't know if anyone else feels the same, but there was a lot of times with some of the supporting characters, I couldn't tell some of them apart. At times I found it quite difficult. So there were moments where I was thinking, hang on, isn't that person dead? Or isn't that person with someone else? And then I'd read on and I'd see it as someone else, and I had ended up getting a few characters modelled up. But besides that, it's a compelling story, and it's fantastic if you like your dystopia, your post-apocalyptic stories where people are trying to get back to normality.
Mm.
So some of it's kind of relevant for today. So yes, I recommend V for Vendetta.
That is that not? I was listening to something about that the other day. Does that not kind of fall victim a wee bit to the fact that it was first produced in? Am I right in saying Warrior? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. There's an intro at the start of the comic, and it was produced in Warrior, and it went on for quite a few years as well. It was a long time.
And then there was a massive gap,
and
then it was started up again.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But for me, any change of style that was mentioned at the intro of the book, I didn't really notice too much.
Okay.
The art style, that is. The art style was pretty much similar.
Right. Okay.
There's a lot of interesting pictures behind the book as well, so it tells you a little bit goes into a wee bit of depth as to the behind the scenes of the graphic novel.
Okay. It's something I've not read in a long time, and I can't really remember much about it. I'm one of those that I actually really, really enjoy the film. I know a lot of people call sacrilege on that, but I massively enjoy the film. I didn't even know the V for Vendetta existed until I saw the film. So I kind of saw that first. So that was kind of imprinted before I then read the comic. And although the comic is incredible, it's a really great piece. I kind of find it a slog sometimes to get through. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it is a seminal piece. It is definitely something that everybody kind of has to get on board of if you're a comics fan, I think.
One plus with films is that they do introduce you to a lot of classic comics. And I was the same with The Watchmen and with Constantine Hellblazer. I saw the films first and then I saw the comics.
Nice.
And you mentioned Ditch Angels.
Yes.
I absolutely loved it.
Nice.
I'm a fan of film noir. So the genre was really he caught the essence of it all in this graphic novel. And it's like what you say, it's not so much a story, although you can invent stories in your head. It's most often single captions. And I found that the tones of the shading, the people, the clothes they wear, the architecture, even the lighting and style. So you'll have a very light background, and all of a sudden you might see like a darkened clenched fist, and you know something bad is going to happen. And some pictures were really relaxing, and others showed that there was a tiny wee bit of danger involved, either coming or had already passed, and you might catch a glimpse of a victim. Some of the I've put some of the names of some of the pictures, but I don't want to go into too much detail because I think the best way you can appreciate them is to have a look at the pictures yourself, because some pictures were absolutely outstanding, and as if they were like made by the best graphic novelers for something like Sin City or a big Batman issue. So I think they were really professional the way he did them. Russel Mark Olson. Let's see. I've got. Here we go. There was one called Red Fountain, and you could see it as a sort of couple of lovers. Except when you're looking at them, you notice there's something wrong with one of them, and you realise that something absolutely sinister has happened. There was one who looked like the villain from James Bond, Jaws. Strong Grip. That's the one, Strong Grip.
All right, okay.
It looks absolutely insane. And there was plenty of pictures of rain pouring on the characters, like I say in Sin City. He Doesn't Play was another interesting one where you see an individual leaving his place of work, and if you see what his work actually was, you might notice that yes, he's just done something pretty atrocious, but has been paid for it. Brilliant book, and I strongly recommend it because you will invent stories in your head when you see some of the pictures.
Yeah, I think a favourite of mine in that whole one is the Midnighters. The Midnighters is like, it's kind of like a guy in a one half shadow looking over his shoulder at the.
I've put down that the guy in there looks like Peter Lorre.
It is a wee bit.
A man
Yeah, you're
who
right.
was often in these sort of films.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and it's just the kind of shadowed figure coming through the casting light. I've Russell put that up ages ago. He put that up like about a year and a half ago, maybe even longer. I think that's what kind of inspired this whole book, was that one picture. But he put that up, and I remember saving it on my phone, and just occasionally I would just go back and look at it and just be like, God, it's incredible, absolutely incredible. It's such a beautiful picture. He's done
a good job with building up tension. So you'll see a scene that's only hinted by a small portion of the picture.
Yeah.
He's done a brilliant job, I think.
As far as I know, it is actually all ink wash on paper. It's not digital. It's all ink wash on paper, which is just unbelievable.
For me, that makes it even better.
Yeah. He tends to work quite traditionally.
One of the other books, one of the other ones I saw was the Penguin.
Coincidence.
It's another one. I agree exactly with Nando, what he said earlier. Brilliant book. Lots of people can read it. It's really funny. And the captions had a punchline at the end, which was also highly enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I would like him to make more T-shirts, because I have a T-shirt of a penguin, the washing one. I think he would do pretty good if he made some more.
He's made it. He made another one. It came with the Kickstarter. You should get in touch with Al and see if he's got any spare. He did one that was it Che Penguara, and it was the penguin as Che Guevara.
Yeah.
But yeah, looked great. Yeah, you're right. Just it's so good. Just they're like Calvin and Hobbes in a way that you could just pick them up and just have a good laugh. You know what I mean? Like if you're feeling really rotten, you could just pick them up and have a good laugh, whipping through them. I mean, I was reading some before coming on here, just like literally just before we came on here. I just got a refresher, and the first one, I think I sometimes think you've got backwards DNA, and
yeah.
Like, amazing.
That's actually one of the ones I've written in here, because I'm not really wanting to like say them out loud. I want people to read them for themselves.
Yeah.
So that's one of the ones I listed in here, and that is that. And another one that I really liked was, which I won't give the punchline. It's the penguin is at the cinema and he sees 3 crosses.
Yeah. It's good. There's, there's a lot of. I think Al's really playing with the panels and stuff a lot more in this collection as well. There's a lot of them breaking out of the walls of the panel.
Like the artist is plotting something.
Yeah, there's a lot of like plotting pages and stuff as well. There's quite a good number of Sunday strips and stuff in here that look really good. Yeah, it's good to see him still playing and getting creative with it. Even after so many, you know what I mean? He's clearly still having fun doing them. Yeah, it's brilliant. But to be so solidified with that character is just it's a feat all in itself, definitely.
Yeah, well, another book I enjoyed was Breakwater. And
did you read that? I only put that up.
Yeah, I actually did that before the podcast.
Yeah, I just put that up today.
It's one of the ones I just managed to download.
Yeah, I thought you meant like you liked I've totally forgotten Katrina's
Follow Me In.
Follow Me In, yeah. God.
Yeah, well, I liked it. Oddly enough, unlike Follow Me In, it's all pretty much black and white.
Yeah.
Or greyish and white. And it's set in a cinema. And the artwork is brilliant. I like the style. And I get an impression that if you worked in a cinema and you read this, you would actually relate to a lot of the things that you see. There's the main character's a girl called Chris, and she meets a new employee called Daniel, and they get to know each other, and there's some issues going on behind the scenes, and it's it sort of gets pretty heavy. One minute you're enjoying some of the humorous sides to working in the cinema, and some of the pleasant things, like they're going up into the loft to see the old ballroom, which is a bit dilapidated, and there's some pigeons and mice, and they're amazed that a room like this exists and no one's looking after it. And then all of a sudden you'll find out things about bad relationships and drug taking. But it's definitely well worth a read. And there was a funny thing that was mentioned in it, and someone mentions the idea of them being ashamed at their job because they were ushering people, and Chris says no one should be ashamed of their job unless they're arms dealers.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty funny.
I think that's followed up, if I remember rightly. I've only got about that far, but I think that's followed up quite rightly with there are exceptions to the rule, or something like that. This is one that I've been highly anticipating for a while out of Avery Hill. I mean, Katrina, Follow Me In was our book of the year, 2018 or something like that. Overall, really, and it was just an incredible book. So I was really anticipating our follow up. Katrina Chapman has a beautiful style in general. And some of her cat zines and stuff as well that she's done is just unbelievable. Just great work, and she does great work for Avery Hill overall. Anyway, I mean, we're always receiving correspondence with the review copies and everything that come through as well. So she does a great job, but she also does a great job on the comics and everything as well. They're just unbelievable. But seeing that cover of the kind of the building on the beach and the seagull and all that kind of stuff, and it looking, I think it's Brighton, if I remember rightly, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Brighton, and one of the things she does really well is you've got a chapter, and then all of a sudden you'll have a full page, nice detailed full page picture, and then you're back onto the story.
Yeah, there's something that she did really well in Follow Me In as well.
Yeah. There's no colour to it, but I think that's brilliant for the story that's been told.
Yeah, I'm glad she is sort of branching off and doing a wee bit more sort of fiction work as well. It was good having that sort of memoir with Follow Me In, but it's good to see her sort of branching out and doing other things. I'm really looking forward to cracking into this proper, Mike. So well done you for getting through that. Like, that was 160 odd pages, and I only put it up this morning.
It was 168, I think, or 164, something like that.
Yeah, well, that's including like the covers and the contents and stuff. So 160 odd of actual comics. But yeah, it was. That's a good one. Nice.
One of the other ones was The Flood That Did Come.
Yeah.
And it's set in a village called Pennyworth, which, after a huge flood by ongoing rainfall, has become an island. And people who live in the next village decide to invade it because of some medieval charter which has never been redeemed. So essentially it's a sort of land grab story. But when you first start reading it, you'll think it's anything but that. It's like it's a white background with very simple pictures for rain, for the blue, just like a blob of blue for the flood, and then all of a sudden you'll get a sort of detailed outline of a couple of children or a couple of women, and they'll be done as if they were drawn straight out of a Ladybird book.
Yeah, they're like stamps.
Yeah,
I think
because their movement's not exactly vivid or fluid.
Yeah, it's very limited. Very limited. Yeah. You're right. It's
still fun reading it though.
Yeah, you know what? It's really good. You zip through it. The Flood That Did Come. You go through it quite quickly. But I think it's not exactly what's the word I'm looking for? It's from the perspective of these children and this teacher and stuff, and they're kind of at points speaking really quite plain and frank and It's quite almost childlike, oh, this is happening, blah, and then all of a sudden they'll come out with this massive political diatribe of the history of the town, and it's all coming from this small boy. You know what I mean? It's it's an interesting one. It seems like
I'm hoping I've not given away too much, though. I hope I haven't given too much away.
No. There's no, you haven't at all. But there's there's a lot of elements, a lot of things that they're pulling from, a lot of like actual political points that could be kind of almost satirized within the script.
Quite a few places came to mind. It might be one to use for your controversial comics.
But it's it's interesting. It's interesting that like you do have that sort of satirization, but you've also, I don't know. There's also a whole actual. It's kind of like almost somebody's take on what our world actually looks like in a way. I don't know. It's something you really have to read, but it's definitely more, rather than a straightforward comic. I would definitely say it's more of a sort of art interpretation of something than anything else. Very much so. It's a very arty book when you look at it. But yeah, that's good. That's good, man.
Yeah. Well, for the fifth and last one, I'm kind of torn. I got two of them here. One was Knockout in Tiger Style, which has some fantastic 60s and 70s style comic colouring. The other one I had in mind was Space Warp, which is a big anthology straight out of the minds of 2000 AD.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say that one. That one had a good chapter in it involving dinosaurs.
I thought you'd like that.
Yeah. And including a picture where you see Liverpool has been invaded by pterosaurs.
What was the name of that strip again? I can't remember.
Jurassic Punks.
Jurassic Punks.
They had one kind of awesomely gory one called Butchosaurus, who was kind of based on a shrike, which is a type of small predatory bird that's renowned for butchering, sticking small prey on thorns. So all of a sudden you see this dinosaur version just casually walking up and butchering people, and on I think it was iron gateways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you enjoy your goriest of 2000 AD comics, I would definitely recommend Space Warp.
It was definitely a lot gorier than I thought it was going to be. I mean, it's all black and white, obviously, but it's I think a lot of the artists are definitely verging on the more kind of brutal side of 2000 AD, but the more kind of a lot of them are leaning towards the sort of Kevin O'Neill of it all. But there was
like that assassin with the big ears, if that's what you can call them, the big fins sticking out of his head.
Yeah, like lopping off people's heads and everything. There was a lot of that I think it's Hellbreaker, if I remember rightly, is Ian Ashcroft. It's a bit more kind of painterly, watercolory looking thing, but very freaky, and a lot of sort of heads on fire and spirits, and there was a lot of action, a hell of a lot of action.
Yeah.
But it was a lot more brutal than I thought. I'd heard Pap speaking about it a couple of times, and he was sort of speaking about like, kids are interested in. I was like, this is kids. I was like, oh my god. But yeah, it was pretty full on. That Jurassic Punks though, I thought you were gonna like that right enough. The wee infomercial before it though, like you said, the hide and survive thing. It was good. It was really good.
If you see a T-Rex when you're walking on the street.
Yeah, back up and run in a straight line. Don't zigzag because that'll slow you down. I did look at that though and think it was very reminiscent of A Quiet Place, because a lot of it was like stay quiet, put mattresses on the wall, hide in a bath, all that kind of stuff. And I was sitting like, it sounds like that Quiet Place film.
I thought for a moment it was kind of based on what's going on now with the pandemic. When was it that they did this comic?
All of it was written before the quarantine and everything, before the pandemic, yeah. But Pat's always got his finger on the pulse. He maybe knew something around about the time he was writing it. It might have been sort of sprigging up in China at that point or something. Not sure. We'll wait and see.
Are we going to get sued if we suggest that Pat Mills released it out there so it coincides with his comic?
No, I think you might find that funny. Perfect.
Well, that's my lot done.
Nice one. Dave, my man, you've been very quiet over there.
Yeah, I'm just listening. I'm just taking it all in. I'm learning from you guys.
Has there been any that you've heard about so far that or out of you folks, is there any that you've heard about so far that you've maybe not read yourselves that you're now sort of interested in reading?
The first Russel Olson one that Fernando mentioned.
Oh, the Black Iris.
Yeah, I like Lauren Bacall, so
yeah, I think you would like his series Gateway City as well, Mike. Definitely. Yeah, that's a good one. Anybody else? Any other ones that you've perked up at?
Well, I can't wait tomorrow to go into the computer and start to look at those digital copies that we got. So
yeah,
that Mike has mentioned, they sound quite interesting. So I'm gonna give it a go.
I think you might like. I think you might like Space Warp, Nando, the Pat Mills thing.
Oh yeah, I mean I like Pat Mills.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that'll be good.
It's a good kiddie friendly one.
Well,
Yeah, sounds like it.
well,
Sounds like us we can acquire play some flesh.
yeah, he certainly thinks so anyway. So
Wow. Sounds good.
Is it as good as Shaco though, Mike?
I don't. Nah, that's a classic. Sorry.
I know.
The idea that another comic could really get over the sheriff who's leaning over to dry his eyes in the shower, and he just grabs like 20 inches of polar bear fur. Angry polar bear fur. That's
hard
a hard
to beat.
one to beat.
I would just like to say as well that Robert Kirkman has never been the same since Battle Pope ended for me.
that's true.
I've never forgiven him for that. He should stop all of this he's been doing since Battle Pope and go back to Battle Pope.
I agree with you that he should go back to doing Battle Pope. Definitely.
Well, we'll see. Maybe he will. If he hears this, he might go, they're right, and stop all the rest of that stuff.
I'll pass firepower on to you, and you can pass judgment on that as well.
Okay, I've got 3 comics here I want to speak about.
Ho ho.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Ready.
Okay, the first one is a Gold Key comic from 1964.
Oh wow.
And it's Buck Rogers in the 25th century.
Hey.
Now I don't know who wrote or drew this because it doesn't tell you inside. I mean, I could guess. There's bits of it that look like Frank Robbins a bit, but it's just guesswork, really. But I did enjoy it, and it's number 1, issue number 1, and it's called The Space Slavers. It's got all the characters that you might know if you know Buck Rogers, like Wilma Deering and Princess Ardala and Kane. A lot of them made it over to the TV show that they did in the 70s and 80s. And it's in the style that I would think of with the Gold Key Star Trek comics as well. So, do you know, it's actually got an interesting part to it that I used in, well, I don't know how to approach this, but you wrote a story, Tom, that I drew.
Oh, aye, yeah.
Called Nobody.
And yeah.
As I was drawing it, I was thinking about, it was left pretty open as to what was in the backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
What was in the background didn't matter at all. And so I'd been thinking about all these Star Trek and Buck Rogers comics. The standard pretty much is there's no panel borders. There's no black panel borders
right
on any of these comics. the colour just goes to the edge of the panels. So I've been curious with that and wanted to do it. So I did it on that comic. So I was kind of inspired by this Buck Rogers comic. And as it goes along, they're on Space Station K7, and then they discovered these little green fellas that look kind of comical, and they're tiny, so they're all kind of laughing at them. But then they're able to hypnotise all the characters, and so it goes along that Wilma tries to shoot Buck Rogers. All this kind of dramatic stuff is going on until, of course, there's a happy ending, a very abrupt ending, and then that's it. And I actually looked into this a little bit, and there was an issue 2 of Buck Rogers from Gold Key, but it didn't come out for another 15 years.
Wow.
To coincide with the TV show starting. So issue 2, after this, 15 years after this, has got the TV style cover, and everything in it's based on the TV show.
Was it actually called issue 2?
Yeah, it was. They went, right, we'll do issue 2 now then, 15 years later. They used to do that. They used to do that more often back in the day. They would just pick up the numbering years and years later, which I always quite like. And Mike, there's a great page in here for you, totally unrelated to Buck Rogers, but the inside.
Oh, wow.
Look at that. Prehistoric animals and little facts about them, all of which I'm sure you could disagree with and put them right.
That's like the Brooke Bonds cards.
Yeah. So that was a great little comic. Enjoyed that. Painted cover. Same on the back with all the titles taken off and all that, and they've written pin up.
Huh?
So there you are. In an effort to keep right up to date and let you know all the latest stuff that's coming out. Buck Rogers, number 1, October 1964. I'd recommend it.
Hit up eBay, everybody.
You know, there was Buck Rogers in Lucan comics in Lucan in the 80s. They were good. Drawn by Arthur Ranson, who you'll perhaps know. The great artist. 2000 AD stuff.
Yeah.
Button Man, was it he did? Anyway, really nice. There was a best of Lucan book that came out, and it had a whole story of that Buck Rogers in there, which I don't know was 12 pages, something like that. Okay, my next one is Wage Slaves, which you recommended to me, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Daria Bogdanska.
From Central.
This was a really... Yes, Central, 2019, this one. And this was a really good book. I read it really just before the whole lockdown thing kicked in.
Yeah.
So it's quite odd now thinking that I read this when I was still going to work and things. Now we're getting ready to go back to work, of course. All the furlough and all that is... Well, the story of this was she's moved to Sweden for a change of life. She's just a young girl. It's kind of, it's about her life. It's a life story. And she goes to look for any job she can get there, make money, start a new life in Sweden. And so she's working in the restaurants, and it turns out that really the way they get treated is not great. They're not getting paid all the time. They're not getting all the money they should be getting. They're having to work far too long hours. Terribly overworked for little pay. So Daria is interested in starting up some kind of union. She starts talking she's got a good social life going on and friends, and you get to see a lot of the nightlife. She's going out, meeting people, getting involved with, boyfriends and what have you. So she is a young person having a good life, but it's not perfect. There's problems at work. Wage slaves. It's all in the title there. And it gets you to thinking about, is this what life's about? Just working in some job you don't like to get money, and she knows she's got to do it to get money, and it's actually interesting to think on it now, because I think a lot of people have had extended time off work, not going into work as much as they all have always had to. So maybe people have been thinking a bit like that. There's been different reactions, hasn't there, to being stuck at home.
Yeah, totally.
It's been like some people. It's been, I wish I could get back to normal right away. Other people have adjusted a bit.
Yeah.
So this book is interesting in context of that. She's already thinking about that stuff. So it's about your personal reaction to work, and about trying to unionise, about people manipulating people working for them, because they're not working legally, really. They're paying them just, under the counter sort of thing. So they don't have any rights, but then they don't have a lot of options either. So, good book, good, interesting. It seems real, it seems you believe it, and it's also a good, it is a good thing about, a young person finding a life, meeting other people, partying, going up to nightclubs, seeing bands. She plays in the bands as well, plays music, and so I'd recommend that one. It was a good recommendation, Mike. Sorry, Tom. Thanks.
That's all right.
I did enjoy it.
I was actually pleasantly surprised to see something that was a slice of life that was about an actual moment in somebody's life that involved so much kind of I don't know, sort of workplace turmoil and everything that didn't really get like sad at any point, really. I mean, even when it did get into like there was sort of a relationship bit that was sort of playing throughout it to kind of tie the narrative all together. Even that wasn't really it wasn't really sad. It was complicated in places, but she was actually more happy at times than she was anything else. There wasn't bits where she was giving it like, oh, and this really played on me and I just couldn't cope or anything. She was like, nah, I'm going to get on with it. She just kept
That's right.
trundling on. She kept doing like volunteer work and everything, and and getting like doing like wee odd jobs and stuff like in between all this unionised stuff. And she was just really. It was good to see somebody kind of having fun with her life a bit and really getting out there and properly living, and kind of turning around and saying like, I'm working to live, I'm not living to work, kind of thing. And then her kind of putting those parameters in place. The one thing I'll say for the book though is that it was in places it wasn't translated very well. You had said that kind of played on the charm of it a little. But there was bits that I find that it really wasn't translated well. Like some sentences where maybe the words were the wrong way round or something. It just didn't make sense. But read it again and you got the gist. But there was just bits where it wasn't really translated, and there was bits where the translation had obviously just been stuck over the top of the original text, and then it'd been scanned and printed out, but you could still see it maybe slid off the box a wee bit. Yeah, it slipped. Yeah, it's like there was a speech bubble on top of the original speech bubble, but it had slipped over a bit. Yeah, so you could see bits of the. I mean, it wasn't a lot of that. There was like maybe 1 or 2 pages of that. You could see the original like Polish underneath it. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that on there, but that's that was it there. See that? Yeah. So it's unusual to see that. That's just a technical thing. Yeah, but it was actually, it worked in with the charm of the book and the kind of punk rock attitude of the character and stuff as well, that it was just kind of constructed like that. Even though it was a very well constructed book, it's a nice solid paperback as well. I felt like I could take that with me places and I wouldn't bugger it up, you know what I mean? It wouldn't suddenly rattle the edges of the book or anything. It was a good solid, well printed book.
I actually read it on the bus going to work every day.
Nice.
So I mean, it survived that.
You
And
read
it's,
you read it in the best of circumstances as well. Then you were reading it going to a job and everything on the bus.
Going to work. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you're reading it just saying, I don't want to go in, and now you're going, yeah, you're telling me. You know? And artwork's nice as well. It's kind of scratchy, black and white, but it gets everything across.
Yeah, she's a very solid cartoonist.
Yeah, I think so. It's pretty confident.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked it.
Well constructed panel structure throughout the pages and stuff as well.
Yeah.
It's nice.
All right, so that's a thumbs up for that.
Yeah, big time.
From me. Okay, and the next one I would talk about is I don't have the print copy, but it was What We Don't Talk About, Charlotte Christensen.
Okay.
So I don't know who's read this one, but
I've read it.
Actually, I don't. Yeah, I don't think it's actually. Oh, yeah, it's imminent, isn't it?
No, it's out.
It was the Oh, it is now. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
it was the digital one I read.
Yep.
Good cover, eh?
It's a good cover.
Well, it's worth a read, I would say. Great colours on the front, and that goes throughout. The colours, the colouring was interesting because it's that kind of style. It's not the standard, the old-fashioned black and white line work, and then with colours put in. It's not like that.
No.
It's more. The colours are used throughout to draw all of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing that's been happening. It was reminding me a little bit of the kind of stuff that Rebecca does. Rebecca Horner.
Yeah.
The use of colour was really interesting. So it looked really good, but the storyline was it's like a true story again from Charlotte Christensen's life. She's
Boiler alert! Boiler alert! Boiler alert! Boiler alert! Boiler alert! Boiler alert!
she's going out with this guy. They're partners for like a couple of years, getting on great. But it's 2 years in, and she's only now going to meet the parents. So they get there and see that they're very controlling parents, and the guy, I actually forget the guy's names. Terrible for names, eh?
Same, I can't remember either.
So we'll refer to him as the guy, dude, or bloke, that fella, things like that, and you'll know who I mean. And right away there seems to be tension. And well, she's black, and he and his parents are white. So it's nothing's said, but you're feeling like there's a situation, there's an issue, especially with the mother, and the father seems to just agree with the mother all the time. And you get things like the mum will ask her about her parents, and she says they went to university in Zimbabwe, and then even that, it's just like, university in Zimbabwe. Oh, that idea seems to throw her. It's just like, and then they get talking and they go, everybody everybody in Africa, it's all the same, isn't it? She's saying things like that. It's all the same. Everybody there's exactly the same, and no. So she's arguing with that a bit, and then later she's wanting to put on like headgear to go out, African headgear, and the mum is reacting to this, what's on your head and all this kind of thing, and then she actually says, oh, I thought you were a Muslim, thank goodness, and then she's like, well, Charlotte's had enough, and it's like, well, what would be the problem? I mean, I'm paraphrasing, I'm not giving you quotes from the book, but she decides, what's the problem if you were Muslim? And she's like, oh, stop overreacting, so that's the kind of tension in these conversations. And then they'll go away from that, and she's speaking to that guy. Remember that dude?
Yes.
That bloke. and she's saying, these conversations are. She's trying to approach the subject, but the bloke's useless. He's not wanting to get into it because it's like insulting his mum and all that. And as I said, it's already been set up that he's really put under by his parents. He's obviously an adult guy that's never turned around to his parents and said, "No, I don't agree with that." Something that surely we all do at some point. It's part of the growing up process, right? So this guy's never done it. And so, it's a really interesting kind of dynamic in the book, because it finally gets to the point where she's bringing it up with him again. They've had this conversation at the dinner table, and it just all gets out of hand again. And she's actually looking to him to say something, and he just changes the subject in the middle of it, and he's like, "Oh, what about that wine we had, or this?" And that's just no use. They're not even accepting that there is a thing to talk about. So later, she is talking to the boyfriend. That's terrible. I should have got his name, but she is talking, and it finally gets to the bit. She's like, "Well, she's saying that. Well, what do you mean?" Blah, blah. And then he finally goes, "What are you trying to say? My parents are racist?" So he has a total freak out about, "Are you accusing them of being racist?" And then that's what he's upset about. What? Oh, that's right. He says, "Why do you make everything about race?" So then, it's a classic. The person that points out the problem, turn around and blame them.
Yeah.
Everything would be fine if you just didn't mention it. You're causing the problem.
Yeah.
So it's a classic, and she's like kind of shocked at this, and and you can feel her thinking, basically the guy is blown it big time.
Yeah.
Because he's not got the guts. So the story was very involving. It was very dramatic, but it wasn't about running around shooting people or blowing things up or fighting or hitting or any of that. It was all about human interaction and people's failure to even acknowledge what they were doing, what their parents were doing. And there's a very, actually it's quite, you really get a sense of the strength of Charlotte, the character in the book, because this goes on for a couple of days, and then she's like, "Well, I love him. We've been with him for 2 years, but this is not." It's almost like it's just not good enough.
Yeah,
he's going to have to do better than this, and he isn't doing better than this. So she goes, "Right, I'm leaving." And then, and still, the mum and dad are like, "Oh, her behaviour, and all this," but she's like, "No, it was for the train." And the guy kind of. Do you know what? I'm telling the whole story of the book. Maybe I shouldn't be doing. I'm just realising. Well, I'm going to go to the end. If you want to read it, stop listening now. I'm going to go right to the end, because the ending was very good, I thought. So here it comes. Do you know? It's like Lenny Henry last week. I totally jumped to the ending and told that. Right, so I'm doing that again. It's the spoiler section. But there's a very powerful bit. She's just standing at the train station and she's thinking about it. And it's a wordless scene. And, that can be very effective sometimes. So she's thinking back to the dinner table, and you can just see everyone's talking, and she's just sitting there, and then she looks at the guy, and in the panels of him, he's not even looking at her. And she's just looking to him for, something. But he doesn't look, he's avoiding it. And then she looks sad. And it's very effective, because you can feel her thinking, have you got anything for me? No, you don't. He just couldn't do it. And then at the same time, the guy is running to the train station to say, "Oh, don't go, I love you," and all this kind of thing. And there's actually a very powerful bit that I actually made a note of it here. Right, I'm going to read it. Here it goes.
Huh?
So he's giving it all this, and she says, "I need more from you in terms of support, and you need to become a stronger person. It's for these reasons we can no longer be together." So it's so controlled. You know, she has been really the victim in this situation. She's not had a lot of control over this situation, but still she's the one that's got to stand, think it through, turn around and tell him exactly what the problem is, whether he's going to listen or not.
Yeah.
This is what you need to know. Goodbye. You need to sort it out, but I'm done. And off she goes. And then there's a nice bit towards the end where she's thinking about, you know, people have got to help you out, and you know, you're worth more than that. Don't let yourself be, you know, put down. And anyway, there you go. I've totally ruined the whole book for you. But I thought it was very good.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know where to stop talking there. And the art style throughout was really good. The colours and the way it was drawn. And I believe it's her first comic, so I think I'll be keeping an eye out for more.
I would certainly like to see more, especially art wise. It's a beautiful comic art wise. It's not a story in which I can relate to. Obviously, being a white 30-year-old dude from a white family who's only ever been in relationships with white people, not really had many diverse relationships at all. I know that this is very contrived in the way I'm saying it, but there was just, you know, there was going to be a disconnect, and I think that's maybe where she excels in the story, is that she's showing that there is still a disconnect somewhere within the difference in predominantly white and black cultures. You know, she's kind of getting that across in the book, being like, regardless if this person loves you or not, there's still a disconnect here. There's still something that's not going to gel. Okay, you can find somebody who can make that happen, but this, you know, systematically just now, the way things are, this isn't going to happen, and this is basically the kind of most extreme version of that kind of thing. Especially with the meeting of his mother at the very start is just it's horrible. But they come across as just sort of villains from the get go kind of thing, and he was just not. My main thing that I didn't enjoy about it. It was a really nice book, a really nice well, not a nice story, but you know what I mean. It was a really well told story, beautiful art. But my main disconnect was with the guy. Like, it just put me off seeing him coming up on the page. Like, he's just this weedy creep. Like, just nothing. He was absolutely nothing. He brought nothing to the story whatsoever, except from something for the protagonist to kind of bounce off of and be like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, that was about it. He was just this weedy, like, wimp, total wimp. We're just sitting like, there's just nothing to him at all. And he was very sort of upper middle class, you know. Look at this lovely house and grounds that we grew up on, and all, you know, the family was up. I just can't connect with that kind of family in the slightest. I was sitting like going through it like, this better go the way that I think it's going to go, and it, you know, luckily it kind of did. But at the same point, I was like, come on, this is ridiculous. Yeah, but it was good to see a story told about race and racism that wasn't just like riots in the street or people fighting or getting battered or, you know, anything. It was very much like, this is what happens with racism on a kind of homegrown front, and stuff that's still going on in the background that we take as just every day, and it's showing the level of ignorance that is in our kind of British community kind of thing, you know. It was good. It was really well told. Like I say, just a slight disconnect for myself, but that's neither here nor there, you know. What I did enjoy was, you were going on about the front cover, was really nice. I think the front cover and the title would be a really good thing to pull in a sort of young adult audience, I think. And it's the kind of thing that it's obviously sort of targeted at that kind of young adult audience as well, to kind of get them speaking about it a bit more. Maybe sort of grab that younger audience to get that conversation going. Yeah, it's a good kind of think piece. It's something that I didn't initially take to, and then the fact that it was sticking with me a couple of days and a week later, I thought, oh, this has actually been really affecting. That's a good sign. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even as you were sitting talking about it, I was quite trepidatious about talking about it because it's quite a fraught subject, especially just now. Quite a fraught topic, but it's something that really needs to be discussed on a level between everybody of what they took away from it, you know. And yeah, it's an interesting one. I think they do well selling this, definitely. I think this would be good once the shops are back open and stuff. I would love to see this sitting in Waterstones or something in the window, you know. Hopefully grab a good audience to come in and read it and get that conversation flowing. That was good, Dave. That was good. I didn't expect you to pick that one as the last one.
I did, though. It was kind of mundane, wasn't it? It was like mundane racism.
Yeah. There was
so
bits,
that was interesting.
There was bits that were...
You know, you can just tell that the parents would turn around. Well, they did, you know. They weren't racist. You know, they knew they weren't racist.
Yeah.
None of them were.
Yeah.
And they'd all be appalled at that idea. And she was obviously oversensitive, and this was, you know, so you don't even begin to acknowledge in your own mind that there's even a problem.
Yeah.
You know, you just freak out because somebody might be saying you're racist. What? You know, and that's the end of the conversation while you're running around screaming, having a fit, you know.
Yeah.
And and the character in this just went, okay, this is not good enough. You know, I'm not putting up with this. Why should I?
I think they had a good point of showing from sort of his, like her point towards him as well, is like your ignorance is a form of racism in itself as well. Okay, your parents are being more blatant about it and coming away with these heinous points, but you just sitting there ignoring that's something that far too many people are guilty of. Just going, it just doesn't involve me. You know, like, oh, no, if we just don't mention it, then it'll go away. Nothing goes away by just not mentioning it. You know, diseases don't go away with not mentioning it. You know, you can't just sit there, you can't just get cancer and be like, oh, if I just don't talk about it, then the cancer will go away. No, you need to talk about these things. You need to go see people. You need to get something rolling to get rid of something. And I think this comic very much is a step in that direction on a sort of grander, bigger scale and a bigger picture of it. Yeah, it's good. It was good to see.
Yeah, I did. It was a good representation of a kind of situation and an argument that you don't really see. It's not dramatic and exciting enough, you know, to be in Casualty or something. You know, you need somebody getting a bottle put in their face, you know, or something like that. But this was more realistic, and I thought it was interesting. I hadn't read anything quite like it, really. And it's interesting what you were just saying there about you can't just ignore it and it'll go away. And, you know, funnily enough, that's exactly what they achieved in their own little life.
Yeah.
You know, him and his family, they didn't want to accept it, so she went away and left them to it.
Yeah.
So, you know, the mum and dad now can sit and be quite happy that there's no problem whatsoever. Oh yeah, remember you knew that crazy girl. She didn't last long, did she? She went off the handle, and you can see the guy sitting there going, "Yes, mother."
Yeah.
You know, after having been with her for 2 years, you know, and he obviously loved her. There was stuff at the start on the train and that where you saw that they were in love with each other and comfortable with each other.
He wasn't comfortable.
But he was just too much. Well, no, he was so full of nerves about, you know, he wouldn't say why, but, you know, he hadn't taken her to see his parents for 2 years. So now they were going. So he was just full of nerves, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it was good. I liked it.
Nice. Good. Well, I started reading The Impending Blindness of Billy Scott by Zoe Thorogood, if I remember rightly. But I don't think I got enough of the way through it to review it. So I'll just say on how far I am into the story and what I've seen of the art. I think that's definitely a one that I will be picking up in hard copy. I'll just kind of mention it because I don't want it to go by and not mention it. I thought it's a really beautiful looking comic. Very sort of, I don't know, it's a very sort of unique stylistic choice for the art. Beautiful sort of gangly yet sort of over encumbered looking clothing and bodies and stuff like that. It's quite sort of small writing that's on the pages, so it doesn't take up a lot of the art, but there's a hell of a lot of writing on it. A story all about a person that is an artist but starts to go blind and has to submit paintings for an exhibition in 2 weeks. So it's basically the countdown of can they get these pieces of art done before they go blind. And she sort of, Billy Scott sort of goes on a journey to get these paintings finished before she can't even see them, so that she can hopefully get them into a gallery, turn over a bit of profit. It's really interesting so far. I'm only about 72 pages in, so I won't go any further really, but really enjoying it so far. Beautiful looking comic overall. Everybody should definitely take a look. Zoe Thorogood seems to have done really well on social media with it. There's something like 300 and odd retweets or something of it, like 3,000 likes or something for a new book, so it seems to have garnered a lot of attention, but it's a beautiful looking comic. And Breakwater as well. I'm only a couple of pages into that, but that looks amazing. I started to read Victory Point by Owen D. Pomeroy. I'm going to finish that off before I speak about that properly. It seems very sort of architecture-based comic book. That seems to be a thing at the minute. A lot of people are sort of, they've maybe got a degree in architecture or they've worked as an architect at some point and they've maybe had an interest in comics, so they've made comics. So there's very exacting pictures of sceneries and buildings and whatnot. There's a couple of different people who do stuff like that out there. Owen D. Pomeroy's done a range of different graphic novels and comic books. There was wee bits that kind of niggled with that as I was reading my way through it, so I kind of stopped and thought I'll come back to that. But it looks great. I mean, the cover looks sensational. I don't know if you folks have seen the cover for Victory Point by Owen D. Pomeroy. It's just a person standing on like a little veranda and a bunch of these buildings that sort of descend, almost step down to this big sea and like rocks and like almost like a wee lighthouse, not a lighthouse, but like a wee lighthouse on the edge of the rocks, and all this greenery, and there's cactuses in the foreground and stuff, but all this kind of like the White Cliffs of Dover looking type rolling hills and stuff. And yeah, it's nice. It's a lovely looking cover, really good looking interiors and stuff, but yeah, it's very exact. There's a sort of preciseness about it that I don't know. It really needs to be pulled over and dissected a lot more. So I won't go into that. But I didn't want to go by not mentioning them, because both the impending blindness of Billy Scott and Victory Point both have a unique sense of sort of art, and it seems to be a sort of a unique storytelling to both of them. So I didn't want to go by without mentioning them. I've only really got two left. You folks have kind of covered most of the other ones I was going to speak about. So Zebedee and the Valentines by apologies, I've not got the name in front of me. By Abs Bailey. It's another Avery Hill one. That was insane. That was amazing. There's beautiful pages of like these really cartoony sort of, I don't know, it's like a mixture between sort of hippie and sort of Yellow Submarine and Grateful Dead imagery mixed with like the Ramones and all this kind of punk rock stuff. And it's a band that are just on the edge, like they're always playing these dive bars and stuff, and then they kind of get signed by a guy that kind of looks like the devil, and it's just kind of their journey from there and what happens to them, and it's all very cartoony, and there's sort of wonky outlines to each of the panels and stuff, and very sort of, I don't know, very sort of drawn and quarterly, sort of fantagraphic sort of looking visuals to it. It's a lovely piece, really just funny, just really, really funny. It is just like a band and keeping it all entertaining and light and stuff. There is sort of heavy points throughout it that come throughout it, but it's great. There's full pages of colour and really good use top to bottom of each of the pages. I don't know. I don't know how else to say it. I just really liked it. Really enjoyed it, to be honest. It's just beautiful colour, really nice characters, really great storytelling. Loads of the splash pages and stuff with the band being on stage and singing and stuff. Like all the words are in like a speech bubble that like kind of circles around them and curves up around them like paper, and it looks amazing. I absolutely loved it. But I zipped through that because it was just so good. But even from, you get the full extent and the full feel of the comic just by the cover. Zebedee and the Valentines, really, really, really nice. I'm wondering if the way it's kind of left, I'm wondering if there's going to be another one to it. I would like to see another one to it, but I don't know if Avery Hill are one for doing sort of follow-ups, so we'll wait and see. But it's one that I would have probably actually, I would have thought they would have put out on their sort of American counterpart, the Retrofit comics. But yeah, it's I think it's found a nice home with Avery Hill there. It's a lovely, lovely comic. Really, really enjoyed that. There we go. So Knockout and Tiger Style #1 by Fraser Campbell and Adam Falp from Tribute Press. I've got to get that right. Tribute Press. I sort of, let's not beat about the bush. It's a sort of Power Man Iron Fist allegory. They are actually characters. It says on the inside, based on characters created by Ian Laurie, who's a tremendous artist, and him and Fraser Campbell are friends. So I think Ian's just sort of come up with the basis of these characters that are sort of based on Luke Cage and Danny Rand, and they've just kind of run a rough kind of story from there. But it's the same kind of vein as your Adam's art. Obviously you've seen it on Atomic Hercules, so it's that same kind of grimy apocalyptic looking kind of style, but less dirty, like like Atomic Hercules. A bit more like
yeah, that's very dirty.
Yeah. a bit more sort of straight to the point, kung fu, black exploitation sort of film look and feel about it. It's really nice. Do you know, I just really love I love looking at Adam's work. Fraser's written a great story. I think some of the dialogue is amazing. It's a great story with them kind of meeting through illegal fighting rings and then having to kind of take down the illegal fighting ring after it goes a bit wrong when Knockout won't kill a guy. So it all kind of goes a bit wrong. He won't let his powers free. He won't kill somebody. He won't take advantage of these powers. And Tiger Styles kind of meeting up with him and trying to encourage him to team up and whatnot. Yeah, it's pretty basic. If you know Power Man and Iron Fist, you'll like it. You know, it's just a more sort of adult version of Power Man and Iron Fist. But Adam's art is just incredible, and see some of the colours that he uses. All those really like bright fuchsia, luminous, like almost black light looking greens There's like shocking yellows and just brilliant. I love that like really solid black line, but he's got like a really grimy sort of scratchy look to it all as well. There's a visual that he does with Knockout's face at one point. He's done the face like all in like bright yellow, like these really, really heavy blacks as he's relaying the story of how he became who he is. And he's like looking down like really, really serious. And that alone, it's gorgeous. It looks like, I can't remember the name of the guy, but he did these posters that said like obey. And it was pictures of, Andre the Giant, like really close up. Yeah, Andre the Giant, like really close up. It's like that. So really like heavy blacks and stuff. Adam obviously has a lot of like sort of pop art influences, and they really come through. You can really see it in his style and stuff. There's a lot of like zipatone look to stuff in that as well. That obviously he's done in computer, but I know that Adam does actually work traditionally on sort of Bristol board with ink and whatnot as well, and then he just sort of scans them in and puts these colours in amongst it. But it's really gorgeous. The story really chunders along as well. There's a nice little introduction of some characters, and there's a sort of cliffhanger ending and stuff as well. And obviously comes with the usual kind of tribute press looking Bronze Age kind of advertisements at the end and little notes and stuff. It's a really well done book. The tribute press are kind of knocking out this sort of corner of homaging Bronze Age comics that's working really well for them. I think it's doing really well, and especially having Adam on art, I think it doesn't really matter who's writing the stories as long as they're in this same kind of vein every time. They're going to knock out a good lot of characters like this. It works really well. So I'm interested to see what comes with issue 2. But issue 1 is very, very promising. Very promising. But yeah, if you guys get a chance, I would definitely look at that 100%. Okay. Oh, we've chatted a good fair whack for that.
Yeah,
that was good. That was good. Really enjoyed that. Well, I didn't want to bail out without having a little chat about. We've been getting up to some comic creation, haven't we? We kind of mentioned it a wee bit. Dave mentioned a bit there with Nobody, and there was a bit mentioned earlier on, and we said we would come back to it. We announced it. Well, Dave announced it on Tony's podcast, and I think it's only fitting that we kind of mention a little Susan again about us working on a That Comic Smell comic anthology with all of us in it. And I'll just say just now, all of us in it, and a special guest in there as well. That's all I'll say just now. We may announce that later. Yeah. Did you mention that before?
That's as far as you're going?
Yeah, as far as I'm going just now. Yeah, just that there is a special guest in there.
Sooty, Sweep and Sue.
No, I didn't mention the special guest.
Oh, there you go. That's an exclusive for the Lakes.
Yeah, that's right. There will be a special guest.
Yes, but we are. We're looking to get it finished by. At least get it
tomorrow lunchtime.
We're pretty ahead. We've got basically all the strips together. I think there's only one or two to come in now. Is that mainly from my end? Because that's embarrassing if it is.
Well, I won't answer that question. That's embarrassing.
No comment.
We'll have Mr. Strickland coming for you.
Oh no.
I can only say my stuff's done. So's Nando's and so's Mike's.
Well, I'll just think. Damn it! I'll take solace in that mine was late in the day that it was coming in, so it's fine.
Yes.
But there is something from all of us. There's a bit of writing. There's a bit of art. There's there's a bit of everything going on in there. And we're mainly is it mostly colour, or is it mostly black and white, or is it a bit half and half?
Yeah, it's maybe not quite 50-50.
Yeah,
Most of
It's a
mine is
mix.
black and white.
yeah. But you've ended up experimenting with some colour as well, Mike, haven't you?
Oh yeah, that was quite fine.
So we've all had a wee bit of fun with that. We were knocking something up together over the past couple of days about the experience of making it and stuff, and yeah, it's really good. So we're really looking forward to getting out there. Well, I'm speaking for you lot here. We are looking forward to getting out there, aren't we?
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah.
I've started putting together the files for the printer.
Oh, nice. Well,
So it's coming along nicely.
You'll be sure to get it all together and pass it over to the editor before it goes out. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do. Who was that again?
Thanks very much. It's it's been good, and do you know what? It's interesting that it kind of just naturally came together, didn't it? I mean, we were kind of just, we'd all kind of went into lockdown and stuff. We've been sitting for a couple of weeks. We've been all chatting comics and stuff over Skype, and then it just kind of fell into place. I don't know how it happened when I think about it.
No, in my case, I was forced into it. They push me. It's bad.
Yeah. It was for your own good, though. I do feel like I kind of gently forced everybody to do a bit.
It's fine.
In a nice way.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a nice way, of course.
But it has really been enjoyable, and hopefully it'll be the kind of first of many to come. To be fair, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean,
that'd be nice.
we've all got a taste of it now. That's it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to. We've all kind of had a contribution to the whole thing, but we've all had especially a contribution to the front cover, which Nando penciled up. I've not started yet, but I'll be inking it, and then that'll be passed over to. Am I passing it over to Mike? Am I right, or Dave for colouring?
I'm afraid I'm not involved in the cover.
Right. Okay.
I gave moral. I gave you moral support for the cover.
We were all there for.
That's right.
We were all there for the kind of the general idea and making sure it was all coming together well, and everybody was okay with each bit and everything. We're all, we've all got our place within the cover. That's what I'll say to that.
Do you want to buy a couple hundred Kinder eggs, and we'll use the toys as freebie gifts like what we used to do in 2000 AD?
Yeah.
A little bit of sellotape on, or stuff you get from Christmas crackers.
We'll find ones that's got little toys of Spider-Man or something. Give that away with it. But no, it's been good. It's been really good. And it's been interesting for so long chatting about comics. And I know, obviously, Mike and Dave, you've done stuff like your own comics, and you've contributed to anthologies and stuff. But it's just a bit different when we've had a podcast or been meeting up or anything for quite a number of years now, and to now actually get around to a sort of creation stage, and now we're gonna put that out to people to hopefully chat about. It's going to be interesting. And we'll hear that on their review specials.
Do you think we should market it as a cure for COVID-19?
Oh. No, I'm not Trump.
Definitely not.
Just read that Comic Smell comic and shove chlorine up your nose and you'll be fine.
Smell the pages.
But no, it's good. But yeah, it's good to finally be chatting about it as well, because it's been kind of quiet for the past month or so, or actually a couple of months now, hasn't it?
It must have been, yeah. Yeah, it has been.
A couple of months now. So it's been quiet, and it's all starting to come out now.
It's been a good collaborative kind of process, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But there'll be the question of how many we want to send out for reviews and things, if we want to do that physical or not as well. So
yeah. So if you're
it's all good. It's all good decisions.
So if you're a reviewer, get in touch.
Yeah.
Get in touch. Let us know who you are, and we'll put you on the list of people that we send it out to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Even if you don't want them, even if you don't want them physical, we'll get them a digital file knocked up. We'll send it out to you. Definitely, be good. And we'll look forward to in the coming weeks, months. I don't know, depending on how long it takes. Hopefully, just weeks as opposed to months. But we'll look forward to revealing a wee bit more every time. Who the guest is, and little snippets here and there of bits of the strips, bits of the cover. I look forward to the cover reveal. I look forward to that coming, definitely. So yeah, it's going to be good. So I think this seems like a good time to wrap up, gents, unless there's anything else that you want to shout out or anything like that.
Naughty words, bum.
Oh, fantastic.
I'll just say congrats again to Ian and Nikki.
Yes, yeah, congratulations to them
while I'm here
on their engagement.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Congrats, guys. But yeah, looking forward to them coming back. I'm really quite really quite glad that they've given us this opportunity to do bootleg episodes in between, because they could have just said we're going on a break and that's it. But
I wonder how they'll feel about it.
I know. They'll come back and be like, "Hey, those naughty boys have taken over. What's happening?" But yeah,
they've left biscuit crumbs all over the floor.
It's all kosher. It's all kosher.
Popcorn.
And popcorn, yeah. What's that? Is that a smell of coffee? What's happening there?
Tea.
But yeah, perfect, gents. Where can everybody find you online, etc.? Stores, Twitters, Instagrams, whatever. Where's your best places, Mike?
Well, I've got Instagram, Twitter, and DeviantArt. I'm under the name Mike Sedakat, but I warn everyone that I'm not a big social media person, and I don't check my accounts all that often. So you might notice I'll add something in maybe once a month or so.
And we've to all keep an eye out for your new comic that will be coming eventually.
Yes,
yeah.
It will be coming eventually.
Sedakat spelled Sedakat.
That's it.
There we go. Nando, you're not online or socials or anything, but everybody can find you on That Comic Smell, can't they?
Yes, they can. So if there's any questions or anything, yeah, they can contact me there.
Yep. If you want to contact Nando, I'm your mediator. You get in touch at thatcomicsmell at gmail.com. Give me an email, or just even get in touch through DMs or comments or anything at thatcomicsmell on Instagram and Twitter. I'll just quickly jump in whilst we're setting that up, that you can find us on SoundCloud, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any place that you usually get your podcasts. And also, if you just Google That Comic Smell, we're the first thing that usually pops up as well. Dave, where can everybody find you online, etc.?
You can find me by Googling Fred Egg Comics. That's the name of my website and my blog. And I'm on Twitter at Fred Egg Comics. So that's how to get me.
Yep.
On That Comic Smell.
FRED EGG. Fred Egg.
FRED. Yeah. Like not, as in Frederick Egg.
Yes. Not fried.
As Neil Scott used to call me, Frederick Egg.
That's brilliant. And I've
been called worse.
Have you got? I mean, you've got your blog, but have you got any online comics on at the minute? Have you still got your Taybridge one going on at the minute?
Well, yeah, that's still going on. That's on the blog.
Right, okay.
So you'd be able to get it. There's a lot of little what's the word? You know, there's tags down the right hand side that you can just look, and if you get Taperidge, they'll come up for you.
Okay.
And that I'm planning to finish that off probably next year now, after we've got that comic smell out the way in Christmas.
So is that your next one?
I think that'll be my next book after that comic smell comic.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's been a funny thing doing that, because I'm used to being in charge of everything, and we did decide that comic smell comic would be a Fred Egg comic, which was decided between us.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah.
And that was fine. And then I noticed that I was doing a Fred Egg comic, that I wasn't just deciding everything. So I was thinking, right, I'll do that. And right, no, I've got to run it past them, haven't I? And I've really grown to resent this. No, it's been interesting. I'm waiting for the thing that I ask everybody, and two of us like it and two of us don't. That's going to be an interesting situation.
The comic, I hate it. Get rid of it.
Yeah. You look at the finished thing and go, "This is a bad idea. Let's not do this."
It's good though. It's good. I'm glad we're all on the imprint somehow. It's good. You've got all your stuff up at Big Cartel and stuff. Break the Cake, Mountain Rescue, all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
that's right. The links are all on the website.
Actually,
and on the blog.
Actually, you're even you're even selling them on eBay. You can even find them on eBay. Break the Cake and everything, can't you?
That's right. I managed to get the author and artist to autograph them.
Oh,
and they're on sale on eBay.
Nice. Perfect, guys. That was absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for joining me across at Small Pressed. It's been amazing having my TCS crew with me here, reviewing all these books and not doing it by myself and extending it by about an hour and probably about 2 hours and 15 minutes. Normally only
That's
a wee
quick one today.
Yeah. Brilliant. We've rattled off the links already. If you want to get in touch and point your comic over to myself for review or anything, as usual, you can find me at That Comic Smell. Just give me an email or a DM or anything. Point us on to any latest comic project that you're doing, your Kickstarter or anything like that. We'll certainly give it a shout out. We'll give it a shout out on That Comic Smell, and I will very much give it a shout out on the Lakes, and we'd love to take a look at any new comics that are coming up. So that has been Small Pressed this time. From Tom Stewart,
That's
David
me.
Robertson,
Fernando Pons.
And me, Mike.
Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. Find out more about the festival at comicartfestival.com. Find out more about the show and how to contact us at comicartpodcast.uk. Find us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Music composed by Pop Noir.